Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah.
Pulse 95.
Good afternoon, people charging across the UAE, and welcome to another hour here on the Afternoon Karak with myself, Mikhail Atiyah. Only half of the dream team because my lovely co-host Aisha Al-Mazmi is on a long, well-deserved vacation. This is the second week without her, and it feels for me now like 6 months have passed. It's been like we haven't been able to talk to one another. It's just the banter is not there, but I think the spirit of Afternoon Karak lives on with me because I have you and you have me. I hope you guys are doing okay. It's a new week. It's a new grind. There's always something to do and something to always tune into, and boy, a lot of things happen during the weekend. You know what's crazy? I always have this thing with Aisha where right after we wrap up our Thursday show, right after, there's always some big news, some big story that gets, that gets released online. And it's like, man, the show just ended and I have to wait until Sunday to talk about it. But it's Sunday now, and boy, we have some interesting stories. First, Amazon just announced a collaboration with Bethesda Game Studio to work on a live-action adaptation of a Fallout series. Oh my God. And even as a fan myself, I have all sorts of questions. Which game are they going to adapt? Is this going to be an entirely new thing on its own? I got all the details for that and so much more, so be sure to tune in for that as well. And I'm going to be talking about a little bit of a disappointment about fans who have been so excited to hear any new news about JoJo Bizarre Adventure, if there was ever going to be a new season coming up. So it's not the best of news, but I feel like it's something we ought to talk about, especially if you're fans of anime and if you're fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, as well as there's rumors going around, speculating that Warner Bros. Is actually developing a new movie starring a very popular comic book superhero. So be sure to tune in for all of that and so much more. And don't shy away from texting in. We got our text lines up, 421-5. It's Slaughterdo. Would love to hear from you. And later when this video comes up on the comments, be sure to share any of your comments. Like, share, subscribe. We're live on YouTube 24/7 for you guys. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, but coming up next, Amazon's Fallout live action adaptation series. So stay tuned.
Pulse 95.
Hello and welcome back to the Afternoon Karak. And today's first story is, I would say, the top story that I have been so excited since Thursday to talk about because, video game live action adaptations are very few in between. Like the last good one, and the one that is actually the best so far, the best example of it would be Netflix's The Witcher series that just came out, and people absolutely love it because it takes a lot of liberties in how it adapts itself, but it does hearken to the books and even to the style of the video games. So I would say that's one adaptation that's very successful, and it's very tricky to make a video game based adaptation because there's a huge fan base. There are people who really like what the game was all about, but can it be translated into film? Can it be translated into television series? Well, surprisingly enough, Bethesda Game Studios is actually collaborating with Amazon to basically create a new Fallout TV series. And when I read this, I was really shocked because, of all things that Bethesda wants to adapt is the Fallout series, but I can understand why. There's a lot of potential. It's their most popular post-apocalyptic RPG game, and I have been playing it, honestly, since Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. But Fallout 76 has left a bad taste on a lot of people who've played it. Also, the fan base has become a bit, I would say, divisive, and there's a lot of backlash. So I'm excited for this news, but I'm also a bit of a skeptic because of how Bethesda has been treating this franchise, especially when it came to Fallout 76. So them jumping into making a TV series gets you kind of worried. Are they really gonna do it justice? Well, surprisingly enough, there is the showrunners that are going to be creating the Fallout show, are the same runners from Westworld. And this is okay already right here. Even though I'm a skeptic, this kind of makes me calm down a little. Like, okay, the fact that this project is coming from the Westworld creators, Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan, as part of their overall deal with Amazon. They're also going to be working with Todd Howard from, if you guys know, Todd Howard is like the head of Bethesda Game Studios, and they're going to be working together in the development stages of the series. And they actually unveiled a teaser on Thursday. It's very short. There isn't much detail that you can get out of it. It's just, the typical television static with an ominous sort of quote at the end. War never changes. I mean, that's the most popular thing about Fallout. That's the philosophy of what Fallout is. And it seems that really that the partnership is going to be promising, because Todd Howard and the showrunners are really trying to, basically say that we want to bring to our fans a massive and subversive and darkly funny universe to life with Amazon Studios. And that's what Fallout really is. But at the same time, is it going to be a new story of its own? Is it going to be actually an adaptation of one of the video games? And which one would they do? Would it be set in the timeline and in the settings of Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, or is it going to be an entirely different story of its own? And this is where the biggest question comes. Which story to adapt, or which story to even create from scratch. But it seems that Todd Howard and the showrunners are very keen in, basically adapting the real spirit, the essence of Fallout. Despite the fact that I'm a bit of a skeptic, like I said, I don't know if this is going to turn out well, but I will give it a chance. Until then, when we get any new trailers or any updates, I'll be sure to share it with you guys here on the Afternoon Karak. I want to hear from you guys. Text me 4215. It's Salat Urdu. A Fallout live-action television series. Honestly, this can go anywhere. It can be set in any timeline, any place in the United States, maybe even beyond. But Fallout is something that is near and dear to a lot of gamers out there. It's almost one of those games that revolutionized, I would say, the generation of back in the days like 2007, 2008 when it came out. It blew everybody's minds away when Fallout 3 came out, and people love those stories, the world of Fallout. So I really hope that the showrunners, the ones who are involved in creating Westworld, also do justice to the Fallout franchise. All right, I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, but coming up next, we're going to be talking about JoJo Bizarre Adventure. I don't talk a lot of anime here, so you better tune in for this.
Pulse 95.
Hello and welcome back to the Afternoon Karak. Right before the break, I was talking about Amazon's announcement for the Fallout TV series, a video game live-action adaptation. Will it be good? Will it not? Who knows? Until the day that they unveil a trailer, we'll have to wait and see. All we know is that there's a good pairing. We got the creators, the showrunners of Westworld pairing with Bethesda Game Studio to work on this. So there does seem to be a bit of promise in that. And now, one series that people have been anticipating for a very long time. Now, we know because of the pandemic, a lot of conventions and events have canceled, but the Anime Expo 2020 of this year actually continued to go virtual completely. And a lot of people have been looking for any new exciting announcements for upcoming animes. I know specifically in Sharjah and across the UAE, anime culture is pretty huge. We don't talk about it, but like when you meet another anime guy, you just know. So so earlier this week, Anime Expo 2020 had a couple of really cool panels, specifically from David Production. Now, if you guys know David Production, they're popular for working on the anime series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, if that does sound familiar, well, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is one of those cult classics. It's one of the most popular animes, not only in Japan, but across the world. It's beloved. There's a hardcore fan base for it. And they recently had a panel at the Anime Expo where they actually dedicated some time to talk about how they went about developing the 5th season of the series, Golden Wind. And the panel itself brought a number of the creative minds behind the 5th season, talking about the behind the scenes and basically creating the world of Giorno Giovanna and the Passion Mafia and just the style of the Golden Wind season. But one thing that obviously has a lot of fans just sort of, giddy about is, will there be a 6th season of JoJo Bizarre Adventure? Now, if you've read through the manga, the comic books, you would know that there is a couple of there's a couple of more volumes, like the Stone Ocean series, the what is it called? Steel Ball Run series, and then there's JoJo Loin. Sorry if I butcher it, JoJo fans. I'm sorry. I've read through Stone Ocean and I've read through Steel Ball Run, but JoJo Loin I have not touched yet because it's not complete. So people are like, okay, David Production, are you gonna tease? Are you gonna announce? Are you gonna give us the good stuff? But no, the panel just ended and fans were just absolutely disappointed. They went on Twitter complaining, saying, guys, when is Stone Ocean gonna happen? And I'm seeing all these memes, and one person was like, after the events tonight, I have decided to cut ties with JoJo Bizarre Adventure. I will now be moving to Hayaku fandom. And it's kind of like, people just like who are dedicated to the series are just moving on to other things. Or like, I just cannot feel the disappointment. But at the same time, I like to be a little bit realistic here. I think that David Production is working on a 6th season, the Stone Ocean series for JoJo Bizarre Adventure, but it's just, you have to sort of be reasonable about it. Maybe because of the pandemic, it's not only affected the West, but I'm sure it also affected the East. And we all know that a lot of anime productions did get delayed because of COVID-19. One that I can kind of remember is ReZero, 2nd season. That got delayed. It got a lot of people furious on the internet. I think also Made in Abyss. There was supposed to be the film coming out this year. Haven't heard about it. Also, I'm looking here through a list. There's a huge list of all these series that got delayed. The Promised Neverland, 2nd season. I'm excited for it. Still got delayed. So it's understandable that COVID-19 may have affected the production, just the production line at the anime industry in Japan. And David Production just doesn't really want to go into that. They're going to stay quiet. And when the time is ready, when they feel it is the right time, the right moment, and they've reached to a certain stage in production, they'll tease it, they'll announce it, but it's obvious. Come on, guys. This is JoJo Bizarre Adventure. This is one of the most popular animes, manga in Japan, in the world. It's how are they not developing the next season? There's just so much demand for it. There's so much hype and anticipation. There's such a passionate group of communities out there, and the culture is strong and alive even to this day. This is a series that came out in the 90s and is still so beloved. We just have to be a little bit patient. David Production is the best studio, the only studio that is respectable enough to be working on this franchise. So I just ask you guys, anime fans, JoJo fans, be patient. David Production will be working on it, and I know they are. They're just, whenever they're ready, they'll announce it. We'll just have to wait. And I'm just excited. More JoJo for me. That would be so cool. I want to actually ask you guys, if also people on YouTube, if you're tuning in, text us 421-5, it's still out there. What is your favorite JoJo part? I'll tell you mine is JoJo Part 2. Just saying. I feel like there's going to be like a whole, people are going to try to attack me, yo, JoJo Part 2 is okay, but my favorite is JoJo Part 5. I don't mind. Share your favorite JoJo parts with me right here on the Afternoon Karak. I'm going to be taking a bit of a break, but coming up next, I got a rumor about a popular comic book superhero from the DC universe. And Warner Bros. might be working on a movie for it. So stay tuned for that and so much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it
that Warner Bros. Is developing a new spin-off for a popular DC comic book superhero that if you've read the comics or watched any of the animated movies, she goes by the name of Zatanna. Now, I played the games Injustice, Justice 1 and 2, and there was also a Justice League Dark movie that came out, and that's how I actually got introduced to this character. Now, you're thinking to yourself, I know of Superman, I know Batman, Flash, Cyborg, but who is Zatanna? Well, I'll just sort of explain it this way. Zatanna is a character who deals with a lot of magic. She's a magician, and she comes from like an ancestry of people who are, magical and mystical. So, I'll put it in layman terms. She's like the equivalent of Marvel's Doctor Strange. And that's actually interesting because, this is a character that we've never seen in live action adaptations or in the screen, only through video games, comic books, and as well as animated films. So this rumor comes from a man named Jeremy Conrad, and he actually runs a website called DCEU Mystic, and he's basically like very like DC fanatic journalist. He's always looking for tidbits and information, and he actually just released an article on his website saying that I've learned today that Warner Bros. Has finally begun development on a movie featuring Zatanna, and I'm told this is separate from Justice League Dark Project. And if you guys don't know about Justice League Dark Project, that's the one that Zack Snyder's working on with HBO Max. And if you watch the Justice League Dark film, the animated film that came out, I think a year ago, it's almost like a recreation of it. It's a separate story of its own. But he's saying that it's going to be separate from Justice League Dark because in Justice League Dark, it does have Zatanna working with Batman and Constantine on some sort of like phenomenon threats of some kind. So when he says it's separate, that means that there's no real continuity of any kind. Like this is going to be, in a way, he's saying that the Justice League Dark series that HBO Max is going to work on is not going to actually expand into the DCEU film universe. That Zatanna is going to be the Zatanna separate film is going to be the DCEU film. And he goes on to say that, other characters have been also considered to be part of having like their own separate movies, like a Supergirl movie of some kind. But again, these are still rumors. A lot of people on the internet, when I was checking on Reddit, that, they say that Jeremy Conrad, he is an avid fan, and some of his rumors are interesting, and it does get us excited. But most of the time, the stories he publishes on his website don't ever break. They don't ever really unveil that this is the actual truth and this is happening. But it is also exciting to see that maybe Warner Bros. Is looking to expand their roster of superheroes, to expand the Justice League after they release Zack Snyder's cut. We do know that there is a Cyborg film in the works, I think, as well as Green Lantern. So it would make a lot sense that Zatanna might come as sort of like another added superhero to the Justice League team. And it seems also Warner Bros. Doesn't want to give up on the DCEU that they've built over the years. Even though it's been a little shaky, we don't know the fate of how DC and Warner Bros. Are really dealing with their live action films at the moment. We know that Marvel, in comparison, has a much more cohesive timeline of films that are all interconnected and are now on the fourth phase. I think we're getting Black Widow later this year, and we're also getting the Disney Plus series. So in comparison, Marvel seems to have it sort of all planned out, but DCEU is still a bit like, we don't know where everything is going to go yet. But if there is a Zatanna film, or even her involvement in the Justice League Dark HBO Max series, it really would be super cool. I've seen her in the animated films, I've seen her in the video games. She seems like a really interesting character, and I'm never read the comics. I know a few fans out there would know that she is an excellent addition to the Justice League team. But I want to hear from you guys. Text me 4215, it's Slot or Do. Zatanna, Warner Bros., are they working on a new movie? Are they not? Is this just a rumor? Or is this, maybe the beginning of something that's trickling down in the near future for an exciting announcement from Warner Bros. And DC. So let me know right here on the Afternoon Karak. I'll be taking a bit of a break, and coming up next, we have the final suggestion of the hour. So stay tuned.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak.
For dessert?
Aisha and Mikhail suggest...
Alrighty, we're going to be wrapping up the show very soon, but right before we head out, I actually put a question up on our Insta story for the Fallout TV series. I asked, which Fallout game do you think they will adapt? I got two responses, one from Justin, shout out to him. He says, New Vegas, inshallah. Well, I kind of agree with this one, and I hope it is, because New Vegas is considered the best Fallout game in the series. We also got another response from Muhammad. Shout out to him. He says, I don't want this to happen. I have a bad feeling that it would be garbage. And I kind of agree with you, Muhammad. That's why I'm still a bit of a skeptic when it comes to these things. And a shout out to my brother, Habibi Rafael, who is watching all the way from New York on YouTube. I love the fact that we have this new platform that is live 24/7. So if you can't tune into the radio on 95 FM, just tune into Pulse 95 Radio on YouTube. And it's live anytime, anywhere for your viewing and listening pleasure. But before we leave, I always like to leave with you guys a final suggestion. And today's suggestion is, whenever you're working, whenever you have work or chores to do, like errands to run, and just you being busy at work, I think it's important that with all the list of things you ought to do every day, to put in between them little mini rewards. And what I mean is that treat yourself to something, or if there's something you really enjoy doing, have it written right after the chore. So what I mean, for example, like today I gotta go home, I gotta basically clean up my bedroom, dust the curtains, and something that I have up on my phone on things to do for today. But right below it, I'm like, watch an episode of your favorite show on Netflix. So that's sort of like a reward system of some kind to motivate you to get things done and just have something you're excited to be doing right after the job is done. And again, it's like, just treat yourself to something. For example, like some days when I'm doing long trips on the road and I'm just getting tired, I tell myself, like, on the way back home, I'm gonna grab myself something sweet to eat, like a little treat. So that's my suggestion for you guys. Whenever you have chores or errands or tasks that you have to do, put right after them something you're excited to do or something that you would enjoy doing. And I think it's just a nice way of rewarding yourself, on a job well done. And that is it, guys, for the hour. I hope you guys enjoyed the Afternoon Karak. It's been a really nice sort of like start to the week. And I can't wait to be back here again from 4 to 5 live on YouTube, on the radio, across the UAE and across the whole world. Wishing you guys a fantastic day. Be sure to stay tuned for more only here on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95. You're listening to Pulse 95. Pulse 95.
It's Pulse 95.